Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika. Get on in here, y'all. Get on in here. Kick off your shoes and relax your feet. You are now in the den. So, guys, your girl is tired as I don't know what, child. Subscribe-a-thon in full effect. I'm trying to get this content out to y'all, all right? We're giving you content on content, all right? Doing the subscribe-a-thon brought to you by the Big Riddle Review, child. So I got up my Oval, my sisters, Snowfall. Now this is Belair. Love at the Lockup tomorrow night. Saturday night, we giving you the icons that have played historical icons. Sunday night, we bringing you the Lady Day. Lady sings the blues. Laal recap. 6 o'clock p.m. Be there or be square. And then I'm giving you The Last of Us. All right, we getting into that too. Doing a live for that. So come on, y'all, get into it, all right? Trying to get these subscribers up. But today, right now, this minute, this hour, we are talking about BEL-AIR, all right? BEL-AIR is back in the building, season 2, episode 1, speaking the truth, all right? That's what we trying to do. Now, we pick up with your boy, Will, child. Will is still out here trying to get away from the Banks family. He's over them and they nonsense. He's staying with Jazz, all right? Phil Child is over here trying to go back to work after he said he was going to sit out for a minute. You know, you can't hold a man down. Vivian is pissed because she done did this interview for this paper and they is over here trying to light on Reed. So she says she got something for Reed behind, okay? And Hillary, girl, I need you to step up because you got damn Ivory over here trying to control the business and trying to take your man, all right, that you don't want to claim. Do you want Jazz or not, huh? Speak now or forever hold your peace, all right? It's Ashley's birthday and you know, we actually got a good bond going on with Carlton and Will for right now anyway. So we love to see that, you know. Is Will coming back home or is he staying in the streets? Is he bringing it back to the stuff that got him in trouble at first place in Philly? And of course, we got our man's Jeffrey back in the building looking good as ever, okay? He had to go check Uncle Phil real quick, get him up to speed. And Uncle Phil was still trying to sit there with the pouty mouth, you know. He don't want to admit his wrongs to Jeffrey or Will, okay? But we need you to stand up and be a man too, Uncle Phil. Let's go ahead and get into this, y'all. So, as we started out this episode, you know, we catching up with Will. We seeing that he been making some money playing basketball, all right? He getting his own little change, so he don't need to get money from Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv no more, you know? And we also seeing him meeting up with Carlton and them hanging out on their way to school. He over here giving Carlton some ends. And Carlton like, wait a minute, where the heck is this coming from? What are you into? Should I be worried? And of course, he's still trying to talk Will into, you know, coming back to the house, talking with Uncle Phil. And Will is like, I'm good. He can't even admit all the wrongs that he did to me. He can't even apologize. You know what I'm saying? And Carlton is like, at the end of the day, we are family, okay? So we got to get it together. We got to come together and we still got to be as one. Now, as they're walking in, you know, Carlton is saying one thing he can't deny is that, you know, he been getting some props since hanging with Will, all right? So they like the little Batman Robin duo, and he sees a girl that he likes, and Will is basically like, you know, maybe I can help you with that. Now, we find out that the family still hasn't been hearing from Will like that. They don't want to be bothered, or I should say, the rest of the family has been hearing from Will, but Will has not been talking to damn Uncle Phil, okay? He said, no, thank you, you know what I'm saying? You could get to stepping. I don't want to be bothered. And so, basically, we find out that it's Ashley's birthday. She's going to be turning 13. So we still trying to get together and celebrate with her, you know what I'm saying, and plan this big old party. She's saying how she don't want no gifts, you know, she's good. And we know that Hillary joins in with this business with Miss Ivory, okay? Was this a mistake? Did she jump out the frying pan and into the fire by doing that? So we need to know everything that's going on. But of course, typical Ashley, she's saying instead of gifts, she want to go ahead and donate to Black Girls Rock. She want to, you know, put some stuff out there. We want to be activists and all of that. And she is saying that she misses Will, you know, and she want him back home. But they got to give him his space, be patient, and hopefully he will work things out. You know, Jazz over here trying to be zen. He trying to do his little yoga and his prayers on his little mat and be in peace. And you know, he also trying to be a good friend to Will and say it's okay that you are staying here. But really, he want him to go ahead to damn home, okay? We all know that, right? So he is trying his best to look out, and we find out that it's been 3 weeks, I mean rather 2 weeks, since Will has been staying there with him. So, Will's whole plan with helping Carton as the school is for him to go ahead and, go to that class, right, where they all get together and talk about the different things, the little committee or whatever, that we trying to make things better in the school, right? But they was like, Carlton, we ain't seen you in since forever. You ain't been coming around or whatever the case may be. You didn't care about us. You used us when you was trying to run for president. And as soon as you finished, you was up out of here. And so he's basically like, that's not true. Will over here trying to help him out. And of course, Will is only doing this so that he could get closer to the girl that he had the little crush on, and so Will keeps interrupting and saying what he means is, and let's not argue and fight. And the homegirl is saying it's okay. Everybody should be able to come in here and speak their mind and say, how they feel. That's what we're here for. So Carlton was like, all right, well, if you really want me to keep it real, then at the end of the day, why aren't we fighting for bigger things besides them complaining about stuff all the time and not doing nothing about it, and complaining about how the kitchen is always making fried chicken? Okay, be more active into stuff that's happening to make the change. And so she basically agrees and was like, yes, we need to do that. And Carlton, we would like to see more of you. All right. And of course he sits down, and this puts a smile on his face. So Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil is actually talking. Of course, she's saying she wasn't expecting him to go to work this soon, and he's saying you can't keep a good man down. But then when she's trying to talk to him about Will, he ain't got too much to say in that area, okay? It's more so like, oh, well, Will is the one that made this choice, and he's the one that's doing what he want to do. And she's just basically shaking her head like, yeah, okay, whatever, right? So y'all both gonna be pig-headed and stubborn and just continue not to speak with each other. Now, we basically also had Viv sit down for this interview, and so she's saying what she want to do or whatever, and that she wants an opportunity to change the game. She want to do some big things with this fellowship. And the lady that's interviewing her is basically like, oh, well, that's not Reed's thing. He wants to go in a completely opposite direction. And so she's like, yeah, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Reed's thing is his and my thing is mine, and I'm the one that's running this foundation, the fellowship. And the lady is like, oh, I love it. And so Vivian is all cheesing, thinking that this interview is going great. Now, Will walks and sees Lisa, and of course, he's trying to go over and talk to her because it's been a minute since they spent some time together. He walking up like, hey, girl, and she's like, hey, how's it going? Oh, it's going good, what I'm saying? I'm hanging in there, whatever. So he was like, when you get a second, I really wanted us to talk about our situation. It seems like we've been trying to avoid each other. And she was like, well, really, I was just trying to give you space since I know you're going through a lot. And he was like, well, I appreciate that. And she says a conversation would be cool for them to actually sit down and finally get a chance to talk. And he's like, cool, you free tonight? But she's like, no, she got a campaign event to go to with her daddy. So he's like, I know I couldn't be a plus one with that. So she's like, well, I am going to Ashley's party tomorrow. And he's like, oh, no, I'm not going there. Me and my Uncle Phil, we ain't exactly on good terms, and I don't want to bring that to her party. You feel me? So this boy comes in, hey, Will, look at my shoes. And all of a sudden, here go Will. Oh, the Georgetown Sixers. And he just walks away from her, completely forgets about the fact that they was in the middle of a damn conversation. I guess just trying to avoid even having a conversation that's pertaining to going to the house and all of that. And he talking about, what's up, bro? And so she's like, well, I guess we'll talk later. And she walking away, and you just see Will looking at her, from the corner of his damn eyes, as she's walking away. So we basically see that, Hillary's at the house. She's doing this toast. She's like, I'm so happy that we got all those other little, pain in the necks out of the house or whatever the case may be. It's party time. It's time to celebrate us starting our own new house. Ivory talking about how it's 6 cases coming, and congratulations, y'all. It's our official house or whatever the case may be. And so she was like, grab a bottle and take a selfie. She over here trying to promote her damn bottles. And, Hillary is like, I thought we was getting champagne. So as soon as she finished saying, like, we should be so happy that we get to be, a fresh start in this content house or whatever the case may be, inhale the positive energy, okay, the positive vibes, and exhale all the immature, toxic bullshit. And as soon as she says that, who the hell is coming running in but the 2 black guys that's still around? They talking about brown boy fight. And so they grabbing up some bottles and taking it in the room. And she's like, what the hell are they still doing doing here? What is the black ass brother still doing up in here? And they was like, well, I guess they don't know, you know what I'm saying, that they got booted. And then she turns around and looks at Ivory like, really? And she was like, well, you know, you wanted to be the one to be the capital. You know, I put up the capital. The personnel is your department. She was like, you know, I didn't know how to tell them that they had to get out. And so Hillary's like, so I'm supposed to tell them that they have to live or that they can't leave, you know, live here. And she was like, girl, you wanted to manage the house, so go ahead and manage the house, girl. All right. And she go ahead about her business. So she was like, well, where are you going? Oh, I got shit to do. Plus, I don't want to be here when you break the news. I said, Ivy is full of crap. Okay. Talking about, you know, firing people is awkward. And then Hillary's just basically looking at the other two girls and she, you know, waving around her damn sage trying to get up some good energy. So now she was like, oh, it was so awful. You know, two black men crying at the same time doing an ugly cry. And she's talking to Jazz. And he was like, well, what did you expect? And she was like, I expect that Ivy and I to be a team. We supposed to be damn partners in this or whatever, right? But I'm really not feeling like I am. And it seems like I'm doing all the dirty work. And so Jazz says sometimes being the boss, you got to do the dirty work. That's part of the deal. You know what I'm saying? So he was like, welcome to my world. Now he's saying, you know, she was like, well, I don't feel like a boss because I haven't been making all of the decisions or whatever the case may be. And, you know, at the end of the day, everywhere I look in the house, she got her advertisement for her daggone, you know, drinks. So he was like, well, why don't you set the tone? Why don't you go talk to her and keep it real with her and let her know you can't have her walking all over you? And she was like, well, right, you know, you're right. We're, partners. She was like, I'll talk to her about it at Ashley's party. So he's like, well, speaking of Ashley's party, maybe I was thinking, you know, that we could pull up together or whatever and let everybody know what's good. And she was like, oh no, that would be way too obvious. You know, he kissing on her and stuff. So he's like, well, you know what I'm saying? Maybe it's time to be obvious. So she talking about some, you know, because he was like, let people know that we kicking it. And she's like, oh, is that what we doing? Okay, is that what you call it? So he was like, I mean, I don't know. What the hell do you call it? She talking about nothing. Okay, I don't call it nothing. I don't feel like we got to put no label or no tag. I don't want to ruin everything by, you know what I'm saying, letting everybody know what's going on. And we don't want to put a label too soon. So he's like, okay, I get it. She like, but after the party, okay, after the party is the hotel lobby. Now she basically was like, you know, we could kick it. And so they kissing and stuff. I said, okay, I see y'all. So, you know, moving on from there, Ashley's at school, and who do we see that is her daggone teacher but the original Ashley from Fresh Prince of Bel-AIR, y'all, okay, up in the house. And so she is basically, you know, teaching them, and the bell rings, and she calls Ashley over and gives her this book and was basically like, I know that, you know, you would like this. And we see this little girl staring, hating on her, whatever, right? I don't know why, but she giving all the hates and side eyes. And you know, she's telling Ashley she wish all her students could be as bright and smart and into, you know, getting educated about things as she is. She was like, I know how much you are into it, and I want you to read about all the black women that had led the way. So Ashley is basically like, thank you. You know, I really appreciate that, right? And so later she actually is walking past and sees the teacher getting scolded, and the teacher saying, you know, she's tired of this or whatever the case may be. They always coming at her and there always seems to be a problem. And they're like, no, we not. And one of the teachers go ahead and close the door in Ashley's face so she can't see what's going on. So I'm wondering if the girl that was giving the side eye while they was talking went back and said something, because I was just trying to figure out what did she exactly get in trouble for, or what they was approaching her for, you know, to have this conversation in the first place. And so, you know, we basically see that when Will is walking out of school, Jeffrey's in the cut, okay, like he a little spy, right, back in the cut, back on the scene. And he basically was, you know, saying to Will, hey, what's up? So Will's like, oh shoot, you know, I finally get you. He's like, yeah, I wanted to talk with you or whatever. So him and Will sit down to have a conversation, and Will, of course, is saying, I'm good, everything is going good, I'm staying with Jazz, you know, I'm making my own money, I'm finding my own way, I'm doing these basketball games and making money off of it. And, you know, supposedly he got it all figured out and he's doing it the smart way. But Jeffrey's like, this is sounding a lot like what got you in trouble in the first place and brought you out here from Philly. And he's like, no, it's a completely different situation, and I'm trying to be a grown man. And, you know, Jeffrey had to tell him what's really being a grown man is you stepping up to your responsibilities. Just because you're avoiding something or avoiding your uncle in conversations and facing, you know, the truth and speaking the truth does not mean that the problem is basically going away. You just pushing it and avoiding the inevitable, as and he was like, a man faces what he scares. He was like, South LA may not really feel like home, but it isn't just another place to hide either. Your uncle loves you, Will, at the end of the day, right? He was like, he loved you enough to fire me. And so Will is just looking, and he gets up and he's, basically putting on his little shades and walking away or whatever. And he tells him, talk to him. So it's like, Carlton has said talk to him, and now here go Jeffrey saying talk to him. Jazz has said talk to him. Everybody keeps telling him that he needs to talk to him, right? And so basically we get to Uncle Phil in his office, and Viv comes in and is like, oh, Phil, look who's here. And it's Jeffrey. He's all with the freaking stink face. And so she's basically like, he says, forgive my intrusion. She like, oh, please, we happy to see you. You welcome here anytime. So then, she was like, well, I'm sure you two have a lot to talk about. But Jeffrey was like, no, actually, I would like to speak to both of y'all if you could spare a minute and stay. And so he was like, well, first off, I wanted to give this to Ashley for a daggone gift. Give her my regards. And she's like, that's so sweet, but you're invited. We leaving soon and we would love for you to be there. And she keeps looking at Phil, and Phil ain't saying nothing. It's mad awkward. And so he was like, regrettably, I won't be able to attend. And, Phil says real quick, understood. So he was like, well, anyway, Will reached out to me, Phil talking about, of course he did. So he's like, well, I feel like he's reverting back to his old ways, street ball hustling and all that. He was like, we don't want him to be out there in the streets and, something to go wrong. He said, I didn't want to overstep again, so I thought that you should know. I want to come and tell you that, he sees the streets as his safe haven now. So he was like, it's best that he comes home sooner than later. And so, they're both looking at each other, Vivian and Phil or whatever, and Phil still ain't saying nothing. And then Jeffrey's like, one last thing. He's basically like, I left my personal sensitivities about my son and my situation cloud my judgment with Will. So for that, I'm saying, my actions were unacceptable and I do apologize. Phil just still standing there with his arms folded looking. And he was like, what's going on here with this situation or whatever the case may be. It was never my intention to do harm. So Phil's still not saying nothing, Vivian looking back and forth between them. So Phil just ends up basically being like, oh, well, thank you for stopping by, and telling us or whatever, right? And he was like, we appreciate the update on Will, Jeffrey. And that was basically it. And then, Jeffrey's like, all right, then, Vivian is basically like, well, I guess I'll walk you to the door then, right? And he's basically like, okay. I said, Phil, you know what? Cut the bull crap out. You not innocent in all this either. Like, you really ticks me off sometimes, right? And so anyway, you still got Jazz saying you can finally square things up with your uncle. I'm glad you coming to the party, and we gotta be there on time. He's asking Will if he wanna iron his clothes, and he like, nah, my clothes is already ready. I ain't gotta do all that. So Will is like, are you tired of me being here? And Jazz is basically like, of course I'm not tired of you being here. Why would I be tired of being here? I mean, I could have my couch back and my bathroom back, and I could have you without my damn socks on. Yo, you got my damn socks on. And Will is like, oh, are these your socks? So in the midst of them talking and planning to get ready to go to the party, he gets a call, Will, and it's basically the guy saying, like, if you want to see Doc and make a good impression on him, this is the only day you have to do it, right? It's about to be a basketball game going on in about an hour. Hurry up and get here. So Will is, of course, now rushing out to go here because he wants to make the impression on Doc so that Doc could go ahead and supposedly sponsor him, help him out, make his game better and all of this stuff. And Jazz is like, listen, hurry up. We literally got 40 minutes to do it. And he just keeps reminding him, like, yeah, we're going to get there and you're going to make this impression on him. And we're going to get to Ashley's damn, party before 40 minutes, right? So when he gets there, he's walking up to JB and Doc or whatever. And he's basically like, I'm Will Smith, and introducing and saying how he want to be down with him and all of that. And Doc is basically like, okay, nice to meet you. But, excuse me, yeah. He's like, it's nice to meet you, whatever the case may be, but I really don't have time for you right now, right? So Will goes and sits down on the bench, and he's tying up his shoes, and all he sees is a dog growling in his damn face. So he's like, and backs up, and this girl is telling him, oh, he's friendly, he don't bite. And Will is like, yeah, okay. He was like, what's his name? So she ends up saying Fluffy, and he's like, yeah, Fluffy. So he says, well, my name is Will. Excuse me, y'all. I'm freaking catching a cold, my back killing me, everything else, but we gonna keep pressing through, right? So he basically was like, yo, I told you my name. My name is Will. You ain't gonna tell me your name. And she was like, I don't know if I like you yet, right? But she does give him points as like, okay, when it comes to Doc, all right, if you want some advice, you basically got to show him. You cannot just tell him, all right, we got to see it in action. So he's like, okay, cool, thank you. So, of course, lo and behold, they're having this game and going back and forth, and they get to the next one, and it's basically like, we are man short. We need somebody, who the hell is willing to go up against Big Dre. And of course, Will is like, I'll go up against Big Dre. So they like, oh, what's your name? And he like, oh, I'm the Will Smith. So he's like, and who's Big Dre? And this big old dude come walking up. Okay, of course, they all cracking up laughing like, oh, you didn't even know who you was going to be going up against. And you tried to, what I'm saying, be like you down. So they cracking up, but Will is still like, all right, let's do this. So they get out on the court, and Will is doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? And we playing basketball, all right? And he's hitting all the shots or whatever. The guy's actually impressed. He liking what he see. And he's like, at the end when the game was over, saying, okay, Will, and I know about you. I looked up your stats. He said you was getting about 22 when you was in Philly, and now here you getting 17. I'm assuming that, they don't be putting you out to play that much no more, and you need to get that up and all of that. But he's like, I'm actually not taking on no new clients right now anyway. So it still kind of made, of course, Will feel like, damn, I did get to play. I did get to show him, and I got to talk to him. But it didn't work out too well. So when he's going back, at this point, of course, Jazz is ready to go. He's beeping the horn. He's like, we got to get up out of here. And when he's bending down to get his stuff put in the bag, Miss Girl lets him know, her name is Jackie. All right, we got Jackie in the building, so we know he about to get with her next. And he like, oh, okay, nice to meet you, Jackie. So they going rushing off because they need to get over to this boat before it's leaving, over at the boat where everybody's on this boat ready for the party or whatever. They are basically like, well, I guess Will is not coming. And they're saying to give him a couple of more minutes to get there or whatever. And so, of course, then they go running and they saying, wait, wait, wait. And they do catch the boat, and everybody's happy that they was able to make it on, Ivory looking and asking Hillary like, wait, is that your cousin's friend that was at your mom's art show? And then Hillary like, who, Jazz? She like, is he single? So first Hillary is like, no. And then she's like, I mean, I don't know. And it's kind of unclear. So she was like, well, anyway, I'm going to have to get some answers and put her shades on. I said, okay, Hillary, keep playing around, all right? You snooze, you lose, girl. And Hillary just looking, she did try to go and talk to her about the whole business thing. And then she was like, when I invited you to my mom's party, or rather my sister's party, I didn't know you was gonna be showing up with a whole bunch of your bottles. Okay, everywhere she goes, she bringing these damn bottles and trying to advertise them. So Will comes on the boat. He give Ashley a gift. Of course, Aunt Viv is like, give your favorite auntie a hug, and she's like, of course your uncle has been missing you too. We all do. And he's like, yeah, I'm sure. And she's seeing that Phil is over there deep in conversation, basically just trying to avoid, Will. And Ashley having the time of her life, okay? Everybody dancing, everybody partying. At one point, Will tells her not to break Jazz's heart because she was like, well, I don't know what's going on over there. And he was saying, I see you looking jealous. Who you about to get, Jazz or Ivory? You know what I'm saying? You mad? And she was like, no, I'm not mad. He said, well, you sure looking like you could stab somebody. You know what I'm saying? You looking a little salty. So she was saying, no, me and Jazz is just cool. There's no jealousy. There's no drama. He like, well, that's good. He was like, but he talks about you all the time. And she's like, he does? And he said, yeah, he's into you, okay? So just don't break my boy's heart. And she was like, come on now, get out of here. Stay out of grown folks' business. So, you have Carlton go over to Uncle Phil when he's standing on the side by himself and like, yo, help me out. Mom is about to start a Soul Train line. And he like, nobody can stop your mom. If she ready to go start a Soul Train line, that's exactly what she gonna do. So he was like, oh, I was just standing here, trying to get some alone time for a minute, breathe in the air. And Carlton was like, good, because I could swear you ain't doing nothing but trying to avoid Will. So he basically laughs and he was like, well, I don't want to really do that today because this is about Ashley and her party. And he says to his dad, no, what it's about is family, and family needs to come together, stop the bull, and you need to have a conversation. So just as Lisa was about to walk up to talk to, Will, Uncle Phil beat her to the punch lunch, and he asked Will if he would come and talk. And Will was like, I'm really not in the mood to talk, to be honest. And he was like, well, don't talk, just listen, okay? So they go downstairs to have a conversation in the bottom of the boat. Uncle Phil take his hat off because Will was like, so basically you just brought me down here so you could lecture me again and tell me how wrong I am and how I make bad choices. And he was like, no, that's not what I actually wanted to do. What I wanted to do was say that everybody's been waiting for me to give this apology because everybody knows that I'm wrong, and it's time for me to own up to my own, you know what I'm saying, mistakes that I did. He was like, I want to apologize because all I really want to do was to protect you with the whole Lou situation. So Will was like, listen, at the end of the day, I never knew my damn father, whatever the case may be. I always knew that he was trash, but what hurt was you, Mom, and Aunt Viv lying to me. And so we do finally get an apology from Uncle Phil. Now I need you to apologize to Jeffrey too, Uncle Phil, okay? So, we actually have Lord have mercy, I'm sorry, Hillary knowing Sweetie, and she invited her there to surprise Ashley because she's a big fan of hers. We get the happy birthday from Sweetie and the family all singing to you know, Ashley, and she's on cloud now. And of course, this has been the perfect birthday party for her. Okay, shoot, better than some damn grown people be having. All right, go Ashley. She turning 13. If that's what they do when she turning 13, what she gonna get at 16 and 21? I'm just saying. So we basically have the family all together and enjoying themselves, right? And then Will goes up to Lisa and he's like, I love you. And she's turning around and running to him, thinking like, yes, about to say I love you too. But he hurries up and cuts her off and says, everything has been going so fast between you and me. I jumped into this without thinking. And she was like, what? And he was like, yeah, Lisa. He says, I basically didn't want to hurt you. I'm sorry that I lied to you and everything like that. I was so wrong and I'm so sorry, at the end of the day. And he was like, your pops never liked me from the jump. And she was like, well, you ain't got to worry about my daggone pops. You not with my pops. So, he was like, but I'm still done hiding and apologizing for who I am. And so, if they can't accept me that way, he says, I need to figure things out. And so he was like, I don't want to bring you any more drama. And she was like, so what are you saying, Will? And he was like, I'm just saying that we need to take a break. I said, child, Will, not a break, all right? And if it's meant to be, then we will come back together, all right? It will be. And so he just says, but for now, that's it. And so they go ahead, he give her a kiss on the head, all right? So that's a wrap for you, girl, okay? And he tells her that he's sorry, And so long to Lisa, at least for now. Now, we basically have the family coming back home together. They saying, yeah, this was definitely a great party. They was like, wait a minute, I thought Ashley said she didn't want no presents. And she was like, I did repeatedly. They still got more in the car and all their arms is damn full. And so, Vivian talking about, well, because Ashley was like, I could turn 13 every year. Vivian said, shoot, I've been turning 35 every year, right? And she was asking, Uncle Phil, if you want to carry me up the stairs to the bedroom, you can. But we hear somebody saying, y'all really need to lock these doors. And of course, it is Will coming in with his bags. And they like, is that what we think it is? What you bringing in the bags? Yeah, I'm ready to come home. So they say, let me help you with these bags. Let me help you up to your room. And he's like, this one is mine. And they go ahead and help him up. At the same time, we got, Hillary coming in with Ivory and Jazz helping them with things. So she was like, girl, your family know how to throw parties, okay? She was like, I didn't know you knew, sweetie. So she said, yeah, me and her connected during the time when her videos went viral or whatever. And she's like, yeah, she dope as hell. So Jazz is showing a picture that they took. And in the picture, of course, they holding up Ivory bottle. And she's like, oh my God, this is great promo. Did you do this for me? I need this for my IG. So Jazz is like, no, really, I didn't do it for you. I just so happened to hear her say she thirsty and was passing her bottle. But before he could even finish the sentence, she over here trying to pull him in for a kiss. And finally, Hillary opens up her damn mouth and was like, wait a minute, girl, that's my man. Okay, slow down. Like, I'm gonna need you to know that I can't do this no more. Me and Jazz is together. He is not single. We are dating. And she was like, what? And then he's like, we are. And she's like, you are? So she was like, yeah. So she was like, why didn't you say so? And Hillary basically was like, because I was sleeping on a good thing and, was staring at me the whole damn time, but I ain't going to be doing that no more. She was like, Jazz, I'm feeling you, okay? So finally, all right. And he was like, she telling him, I know you feeling me too, and I want you to be my man. And he was like, hell yeah. And they go ahead and kiss. And Ivory in the back looking salty, okay? So basically, Vivian sees the article that came out and it's not what she was expecting. It's all about Reed. And, Phil is like, damn, man, that's not what it was supposed to be. He like, do you need me to go talk to him? But Aunt Viv said, nah, I got this. Thanks, hon. Okay, but I'm going to take care of this. Carlton and Will is talking and he's like, I'm glad you came home. It's about time. So he's like, well, you want to go ahead and help me? And Carlton like, nah, I'm so sleepy. Okay, I'm going to bed. And Will is like, really? So they say goodnight. The phone starts ringing, okay, and who is it but Doc, okay, saying that, I think I changed my mind. I think I can fit you in. I think I will rock with you. I see the work that you need to do and the stuff that you need to improve, but I also see the potential or whatever the case may be of all that you could be, all right? And so Will is, but, he's telling him he was really impressed with him today. The stats ain't that great, but we could get them up. And so he's going to check him out at his next game. And Will is like, for real? And he was like, I want to see that Philly come out of you. So Will is like, no doubt, I'm going to bring it. So he said, lock in his number. He going to be in touch. And Will is like, okay, bet. He was like, yo, Doc, I appreciate you, man. So when he hang up the phone, Will homeboy that's been hooking him up and that told him about Doc is sitting there looking. And he like, yeah, man, I'm glad you decided to give him a second look. And he was like, yeah, I sure did decide to give him a second look, even though he's not a typical kid. And so he basically was like, and he puts the tablet down on the desk where it was one, thing talking about Will in the game. He was like, first impressions is not always what it seems. And when he pull up to the next damn page, we got Uncle Phil and the family standing there where it's talking about billionaire Banks runs for district attorney. So I said, well, Doc, what you up to, okay? What you up to, Doc? No, what's up, Doc? And so they talking about some guest night and he taking a sip of his drink. And that was basically how the episode ended, y'all. What y'all thinking about this, honey? What y'all liked, what y'all didn't like? Put it in the comments. You know how we do. Let's discuss it down there. Anything that I left out or forgot, put it in the comments. We'll talk about that down there too. Like, comment, share, subscribe if you are so inclined. Give me a wave. Let me know you came by. Put some flames up in the sky. Till next time, y'all.